But you've since cultivated it because I think your episode of Extras is probably one of the greatest pieces of television.
Yeah.
How did you get involved with Ricky Gervais?
I don't understand the connection between having a sense of humor and the Extras interview.
Oh, right. No, you're right. I'm sorry. I was new thought.
You thought that was funny?
No. I was very serious. It was very serious.
No, I'm going to finish the funny thing on Star Trek first.
Oh, yes. Okay,
because the first season, forgive me, I was a pain in the butt. Apart from the fact, like Dan, actually, because I understand exactly what Dan's saying, I spent the first season terrified. I'd never done that kind of work before. I had never been that perpetually tired in my life before. I'd never had to learn so many lines so quickly and forget them before. And so for me, it was all about the work. And I thought that the rest of the cast fooled around too much.
Okay.
And one day, quite early on, I called them all together and I said, listen, things have got to change around here. I could do this because I was the captain and I was also a lot older. You remember this style in me, don't you, Dan?
Very well.
Yeah.
It's etched indelibly on my brain and my backside.
Oh, no, I was not a violent father. I had a violent father. And I said, it's got to stop. You know, what you don't understand while you're fooling around, that there are people here who are here 12 hours a day, and they can't fool around, and if they were to fool around, you'd get angry with them. No, we have got to be much more serious and get through the work. And they're all looking at me like, who is this guy? You know? And I remember Denise Crosby, of course, who didn't stay in the series for long, saying, but Patrick, you know, we got to have some fun. And I said, you are not here to have fun.
How did that go over?
So, not well. I think they may just have laughed. Anyway, the fact of the matter is that during that first season, and certainly the second season, I discovered for the first time in my life it was possible to work very hard, do the best work you could, and have fun at the same time. And those guys, Jonathan, Brent, LeVar, Michael, Gates, Marina, they gave me a sense of humor, which I didn't know existed. And I became, I'd like to think, the silliest person on the Enterprise.
Did they have to sit you down at season 6 and be like, Patrick, some people are here to work?
I know, yeah. Yeah, Michael Dorn used to love saying that. Excuse me, Patrick, excuse me. I thought we were here to work. No, my favorite bit of fun, and it's right, we used to, when we rehearsed, we wouldn't rehearse the scene that we were supposed to film. We would make up other dialogue, like the dialogue you described. But my favorite moment would always be when there was any peril, which was pretty much, every 15 minutes. Something scary happened. I would leap into Jonathan Frakes' arms and scream, "We're all gonna die! We're all gonna die!"
That is not on the internet anywhere? That's amazing. That has got to exist somewhere.
So, no, I mean, it's true. I was in the supermarket in southeast London, where I live, and my cell phone rang, and I answered it, and a voice said, "Hi, this is Ricky Gervais." And I went, yeah, because I have a good friend who does impersonations of everybody, an actor called John Light, brilliant impersonations. And I thought it was John fooling around with me. And he said, no, it's Ricky. And then he said, listen, I'm doing this show, and I've got this idea, and how do you feel? Would you like to do it? I haven't got a script, but, we'll... and so he wrote, every single word in that scene is scripted. And there was not a word improvised. It was all scripted and acted,
How was it? What was the tone on that set, on the extra set?
Man. Well, again, I was scared because I'd never done comedy like that before. But I'd watched Ricky's show, The Office, and I got the style, that completely serious style that all of them used, and I thought that's maybe the way I should go with this. And I thought the script was brilliantly funny, and the problem was Ricky, because he laughs all the time.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
And it is a loud, bellowy laugh.
It is, yeah. He's impossible. Every time I open my mouth, he just shrieked with laughter. And Steve Merchant, his partner, producer and writing partner, made him leave the set. And we did some of my close-ups without Ricky there.
Really? Did you fall asleep?
Only once.
I also, just as a side note, just kind of nerding out a little bit, I loved you in LA Story, too. I thought that was such a great... You guys, some of the kids maybe didn't see LA Story, but it's an awesome movie. I want the fish. You cannot have the fish. Just to remind you of what you said in that movie, if I can for a second.
You think with a bank balance like yours, you can have the duck? You can have a piece of bread and a salad.
That's so awesome! Oh my God. I can't even, it's like, I can't.
Did you ever see that?
I'm glad I wore a diaper. That's all. I'm just glad. American Dad, yeah. So you've been working with Seth MacFarlane.
Yep. I recorded 6 new episodes last week in LA.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There was one big Bullock episode, but a lot of little bits and pieces, you know. Stan has a birthday that everybody goes to, and things kind of get out of hand, and it's a lot of fun.
Did you ever, when you're starting in the theater, and like, what career did you envision that you were gonna have? Did you ever think like someday I'll go into television, or did you like, no, I'm just gonna be a theater guy? What did you think?
No, I just wanted to be on stage, and I spent quite a few years just working in regional theater, provincial rep, and I don't know how much this corresponds with your experience, Dan, but when I left drama school, it seemed to me every other student in my year had got an agent or a job or a manager or something. And I had nothing, and I went home to my parents' house and I signed on the dole, unemployment. And I literally thought my career was over before it had begun, because nobody was interested in employing me. Nobody wanted, after the school shows, it was awful. And then out of the blue, after about 3 weeks, I got a phone call offering me a job as an assistant stage manager, and occasional acting roles in a weekly rep where we did a new play every Monday night, which was, in a way, just what I needed, really, something like that. What happened to you, Dan?
All right, I'm still here.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not asking what's happening to you now.
Right.
I was curious to know what happened to you. What happened at the end of your 4 years? Dan went to school here in the United States.
Well, it was Los Angeles, which, is its whole own thing. I mean, there's no place like it at all, and it has its own set of rules, right? You know this.
I lived there for like 20 years. It's not a real place.
It's not a real place.
No.
And they have a really odd way of doing things, and it's kind of weird. The big thing in LA, you guys know this too, the big thing in LA is they don't really know what to do with you unless you're typecast. If you're a thing, they can, oh yeah, you're that guy, you do this. So all the auditions I did when I first came out of drama school, because I still had a little bit of hair, I was a bit geeky, I wore little round glasses, I was constantly, and you've seen this guy in endless movies, I was always the guy on the bad guy's team who was the tech guy, and he was usually at a keyboard sort of going...
I think you're looking at about 2,000 of that.
These aren't bad guys, these are all good guys. But he always had the line where he'd be like, "We're almost in." And that was pretty much me, in various different ways of going, "I'm almost in." And so that was that.
That's really good.
It's good, isn't it? I'd like to say I was very good at it by the time I left.
Are you still based in Los Angeles, Dan?
No. I actually just moved back to the UK, where I've been living in New York for the last 14 years. Theatre is very much still my thing, and I love it, and we do share the common joy of being on a stage in front of a living audience. and having that feedback every night is there's nothing like it in the world. So really, for that, you're kind of SOL in Los Angeles if you want to try that.
Yeah, there's no theater culture really in Los Angeles. Just a lot of pretentiousness connected by traffic.
Right. This is exactly right. And that can get boring after a while. Yeah. Whereas New York and London, that's very much sort of what you do. And New York's great also because there's some great TV shows that get done there and films as well. So I enjoyed it very much, but it was sort of after 14 years, it was sort of time to come home, I think.
Have you guys done plays together?
Yeah.
What most recently?
What was the last thing we did?
Was it the Johnson?
I think it was, yeah. We did a we did a very weird play together at the West Yorkshire Playhouse in Leeds in the north of England. A fantastic play, but frickin' nuts. I mean, it was... Sorry, fricking isn't a bad word. We're allowed that.
Fricking's okay.
I'm really sorry. I apologize.
Man, you control your son's language? I mean, what the hell?
Look at the size of him. I can't control anything about him.
Yeah, I won't get my pocket money for that. That'll be the end. I'll be fined.
Speaking of which...
Oh, yeah? Sorry,
Yeah.
What did I do?
Nothing, it's all right.
We were talking about the last play we did together, I think, was the question.
we were.
A fantastic play by an incredible British writer called J.B. Priestley. And the play starts with a man dying, and called Johnson, and that's what Patrick was doing. And it's a journey through to him basically moving on. And it's beautiful, and it's incredibly, it's an amazing play, but it's very weird. And the middle section is sort of a purgatory hell thing set in a casino. And that was really odd. I played a gorilla in that particular scene.
You played a gorilla?
I was a gorilla. I was a card-dealing gorilla. I was... The dead man, I told you it was weird. The dead man has a sort of alter ego called the figure that follows him all the way through and helps him actually move on and accept that he's died and move on. And that's what I played. But he has all these different personas that keeps popping out at various points in the play, and one of which was a card-dealing gorilla.
I want this car for this price. No, poop hits you in the face. Like, I don't know how that... I want to, just because I want to save a few minutes for audience questions. So if you have some questions, line up at the microphone, and we have a few minutes to ask a couple audience questions. Oh.
One at a time.
There we go. No, we'll never get to all the questions, but we can at least get a few. Obviously, your experience as Dr. Charles Xavier, like how is that? How did that sort of come to fruition, and how has that experience been for you?
Well, I'm sorry about this, but I'm not a comic book fan. I don't really know anything about comic books at all. And I'd done a film for the director Richard Donner, called Conspiracy Theory with Mel Gibson and Julia
Roberts.
I've had to erase it because I am the man who hit Julia Roberts across the face and knocked her across the room, for which America has never forgiven me. But she was fabulous, wonderful to work with. And so I got a call. I was doing ADR at Warner Brothers, and I got a note saying, would I go to the Donner's office and ask for Lauren Schuler Donner, who is Dick's wife and producing partner. And I found the office, and I knocked on the door, and she said, come in, and I opened the door, and she picked something up off the table and just held it up, like this. And I went across the other room, and I said, what am I doing on the front of a comic book? And she said, exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic.